So the first, so the negotiation that I decided to choose was the cast of Friends negotiating over a contract for $1 million per person per episode if they were to come back for a following season, which would be the final season of the series. And they what they wanted to do was be able to, come back and, be able to work with NBC on their own terms. So Friends was a huge um, sitcom in the 90s regarding, it was, a bunch of guys and girls. It was a group of six of them, living together in New York City, and just you were able to kind of, build this off and kind of, you know, the relationships between them all and kind of, learn who the characters were and kind of, live and grow through them as they live and grew throughout the show. So this was a huge hit among, young adults in the 90s, teenagers, and was able to kind of grow myself as a fan in their own syndication as I kind of grew up and kind of figured out who the characters were myself. So I kind of grew and grew to love the show, and that's why I kind of chose to do this one. The positions on this end, though, the cast members were looking to kind of move forward, while NBC wanted to bring them back for another season. So the cast members, wanted to kind of branch out their careers and not just be known for those people on Friends and kind of move forward with what they were doing. While NBC was like, we really like the ratings, and what we can do is become that number one show, if you guys were to come back and we announce this to be the final season. you know, NBC really kind of pushed forward and kind of wanted to move that way, which brings it to their interest of what they really wanted to do was get a deal from these guys they worked with for over 10 years to kind of bring in the spectacle of this is the final season and make sure all the viewers are always watching in order to get those rating boosts back up that they sort of lost throughout their time. Lost to Survivor, that kind of gave that big, and a lot of other reality TV shows, a lot of networks had kind of jumped upon. On the interest on the other side, the cast members wanted to kind of move forward and just kind of go on their lives, but they wanted to have that background on them as well. If something didn't work out, they are able to fall back on the money that they made off what they want. So the negotiation techniques, I found that they found to you know dig up those dirty intentions, those dirty tricks, and kind of be able to maneuver around. What NBC wanted to do is get the fast, you get a lot of money for not paying all too much, because of the relationship that they had, but they kind of worked around that and wanted to kind of separate the people from the problem and be like, okay, we want to work together and kind of move forward. And the biggest thing that the cast kind of did was able to come together as a team, and as all six personal people kind of be like, okay, they kind of NBC needs us in order to move forward as this to make this happen. So if it's four out of six of us, it won't happen. So they kind of collaborated together, in order to kind of negotiate their own deals, which found out to be the biggest success out of them all. Nobody budged. Nobody went against each other, and they kind of moved forward on what they wanted instead of having to sort of sit back on what NBC needed. So what really went wrong, the cast members really made out well, but NBC kind of pushed back and was like, oh, we really feel that there's a lot in tune, going on over here. So like they just were so desperate that they were willing to take the deal, and kind of there was zero pushback, on their end. They really had to move forward and kind of work towards what they needed in order to kind of keep up with the success. So with that, found out to be that's NBC's major downfall in the negotiation they had to kind of push back. So, I mean, what actually finally came up to the agreed was that they got the $1 million per episode per person. So it's about $22 million per person in order to shoot and film that final season for NBC. NBC felt that hey, even though we are paying a lot for these guys, they're going to make that money back here, and we made, plenty of money off these guys. So, let's just win that rating war no matter what the price tag really seemed to be. So it came out to be, they got that, and they wound up getting syndication as well. So, just like Jerry Seinfeld and Bill Cosby, they were able to kind of, move forward on that end and kind of work off of, hey, we got a bunch of reruns coming, and we're gonna, kind of have that financial backing throughout the rest of our lives. So how quickly were the teams were reached? It was, it took a while actually. Um, they knew what they wanted, and they came together and said, "This is what we want." And NBC kept pushing back and was like, "Hey, how about this?" And they're like, "Nope." And they tried to put each other against each other, and it was just like, "Nope, this is what we want, and this is how it's gonna be," and kind of really stuck to their terms. And so, it actually wound up coming up to the last minute before the fall schedule had to be submitted in order to get that all done. So with all the references that I have done, the biggest thing was that I was able to kind of reach through different sources than I would normally would on a negotiation tactic. So the I got to look through Entertainment Weekly, Newsweek, a lot of the New York Times, as well as Time Magazine. It was a huge thing kind of around